Hi guys and gals and kittens and welcome to the I Need a Magic show. So in this video I'm going to show you how you can take any database and you can actually wrap it inside of a password protected AI chatbot, allowing you to perform any CRUD operations towards that particular database from an AI chatbot using natural language. So the first thing I'm going to have to do, I'm here inside of my test cabinet. I'm going to go to manage, I'm going to go to plugins. Then you're going to have to install the AI expert system. You can filter on front end here. I've already done that, so I don't need that one. And then we need a database, right? Now at this point, I could go to manage, I could go to database, and I could connect to an external database, MySQL, PostgreSQL, or SQL Server, provide a connection name and a connection string here. However, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to install a plug-in database, and I'm going to choose the SQLite Chinook database for this particular demonstration. The SQLite Chinook database is basically a database allowing you to manage artists and albums and stuff like that. So this process is going to take some time. So while it finishes, let's fast forward and wait for it to finish. Now you can see that the plugin was successfully installed, and we can, at this point, we can go to create, we can go to SQL Studio, and we can actually have a look at its schema. If you look here now, you will see that it's got 11 tables, stuff such as album, genre, invoice, artist, etc., etc. And it's also been inserting a bunch of records. So if you switch to SQL view and you do select all from albums, limit 20, right? Then you will see the albums it's currently got in its album singular form. You will see the 21st albums it's got here, Black Sabbath, blah, 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 Chemical Wedding, etc., etc. Now, what I want to do, I want to take this database and I want to wrap it inside of HTTP Web API endpoints. This point, I can associate rows with my HTTP endpoints to make sure that it is secured, only allowing authenticated and authorized users to actually access the HTTP Web API. So now when I click to generate endpoints here, what's actually happening is that Magic Cloud is reading metadata from the database, and then it's actually generating HTTP Web API endpoints for every single table in this database. And it produced 2,906 lines of code, and we can now go to HyperID, can expand modules, and we can look at the code that Magic generated for us automatically. I want to emphasize this code was 100% automatically generated from Magic, because if you look now inside of the SQL Chinook plugin, you will see that the only thing it actually does, it actually installs the database. It doesn't create any code whatsoever, in fact. So now we have HTTP Web API endpoints, and we can go to manage endpoints, and we can filter on Chinook, for instance, and we can get albums. For instance, now if I choose this guy and I try it out, then you will see it returns albums in JSON format for me automatically. This is kind of like Magic's equivalent of OpenAPI or Swagger, if you wish. So now we have HTTP Web API endpoints. How do we turn this into an AI chatbot? Well, first we need an AI chatbot. And this AI chatbot needs to be, if you look at modules, you look at SQL Chinook here, you look at Chinook here, you find any one of these endpoints, you will see that it requires the user to either belong to the root role or the admin role. Well, I just recently created a new user who belongs to the guest role here. So now if I change this and, let's change it to admin, admin actually doesn't have access to anything. The only role that's actually super protected is the root role. So if you create a new user here, or you can use your existing root user too for the record, then basically you can use that to log into your AI expert system. Now at this point, you do need the AI expert system. If you filter on front end in plugins here and you haven't done so already, you need to click install here. I've already done that, so I have access to it by clicking this blue button in the top right corner and just simply clicking front end. At this point, I can just write admin, 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 admin 3 times. Password needs to be 12 characters long. That's why I repeated admin 3 times. Then I log in, and then I'm given access to my AI expert system. And at this point, I don't have a machine learning model, right? So what I want to do now is I want to go back here, and then I go to manage, and I go to machine learning, and then I create a new one, right? Let's call this one Chinook. And then we can give it a system message, always respond in the style of Snoop Dogg, right? count albums, list albums, right? So nice. And then I want to give authorization requirements to it, being admin, right? Because remember, our HTTP Web API endpoints require the admin role. So you at the very least need, so you don't actually need it, but I mean, it's kind of like a good thing to do. Now, what I want to go back to create. I want to click Hyper ID. I want to expand modules. I want to select my Chinook folder here, and ta-da! This allows me to now automatically generate the required RAG database to perform every single CRUD operations towards every single table in this particular database. Why? Because what it actually does, it recursively runs through every single hyperlambda file here. And then it generates the required training snippet to be able to invoke every single one of the hyperlambda files, which just so happens to be the hyperlambda file required to perform CRUD operations. CRUD, if you don't know it, implies create, read, update, and delete. At which point, at the end of the process, you go to machine learning here, you click training data, you filter on your Chinook model here, you will see that we have the required RAG database here, or VSS, or training snippets, 55 training snippets here you can see, to perform every single CRUD operation towards every single table in this database, 100% automatically created for us. Now, if we just click close on this guy, we go back to types, we choose this type, Chinook, we click vectorize, then what it's going to do, it's going to create embeddings for every single record in the training snippets database. So let's fast forward yet once more to allow this process to finish. So now it is done. Let's close this guy. Let's go back to our AI expert system. And at this point, we have to refresh the page such that it refetches the models. And here we see Chinook. Count albums. And then, of course, this one acts in the Snoop Dogg. Yo, we got a total of 347 albums in the house. Okay, I want to create a new artist. All right, I'm about to create a new artist, data type mismatch. Create new artist named Thomas Hansen. Let's try again. And as you can see now, it created a record in my artist table. If I now go back to create, I choose SQL Studio here in my Cloudlet. I choose SQL View, choose Chinook here, and do select all from artist where name like Tom. Which point you're going to see now, which point you're now going to see, it just inserted Thomas Hansen. Okay. I want to create a new album and associate it with Thomas. I want to name the album Coolest AI Chatbot in the world. Now let's see if it succeeds. All right, let's get that new album rolling for Thomas. First, we need to find his artist ID. Okay, fetch Thomas artist ID. Okay, so now my artist ID is 276. Now let's create the album, Coolest AI Chatbot in the world for him. And now let's do select all from artist A, where A dot name like, and then let's do inner join on albums AA, AA dot, inner join on album AA, select all from albums A, inner join, artist, AR, AL, on AL dot album artist ID equal AR dot artist ID, where AR dot artist name like Tom. Cannot add property. Okay, so let's do al dot title, ar dot name, and there you go. Well, now there's something funny with my, okay, whatever, it doesn't matter. The point being that I inserted the record. Now, if I go back here and I do list all albums with having a title containing cool, right? Then what the AI chatbot is going to do is going to actually fetch out, invoke my read and HTTP endpoint, at which point it's going to find the coolest AI chatbot in the world. And as you can see, it is associated with the artist named Thomas Hansen. And then, of course, it replies in the style of Snoop Dogg. So anyways, let's just rapidly recap what we did. First thing we did, we went to manage, we went to plugins, we installed the AI expert system. You can find it by filtering on the front end. Then we install the SQLite Chinook database here, at which point you can instead choose to go to manage, manage databases and connect to an external database, being your database, as long as the cloudlet can somehow legally access it. Might want to have to whitelist its IP or something like that. You can connect to MySQL, PostgreSQL, SQL Server. Then we went to create, we went to endpoint generator, which shows our database here, at which point we just click generate endpoints. Then we made sure that it had the correct authentication and authorization requirements. Then we went to manage, we went to user's role. We created a new user whose username was admin and his password was adminadminadmin. We made sure that this belonged to the admin role here, very, very important. And then we went to HyperID, we expanded modules, we expanded our module that was automatically created, wrapping our database. And then we click this flash icon and it shows our machine learning model, whom we previously had created, whose name was Chinook. If you didn't create one, you go to machine learning and then you click add, and then here's where we created the machine learning model. As you can see here, it replies in the style of Snoop Dogg. And that was basically it for today's video. So there's a link in the description of this YouTube video if you want to play around with my Chinook AI chatbot. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.